Hey everyone, it's Haley, and today I'm going to be doing a spoiler-free review for Exit Pursued by Bear by E.K. Johnston. So this book is a YA contemporary that is actually a retelling of The Winter's Tale by William Shakespeare, which if you've read the play you would immediately recognize because of Exit Pursued by Bear, which is a line from the play because one of the characters exits and then is mauled by a bear and ends up dying. But this book, it follows a cheerleader, and cheerleading has kind of been what this girl has been living and breathing, and she lives in Canada. Woot woot. She kind of lives near me actually, which is woot woot. But she is going away to cheer camp, and it is her senior year. She's cheer captain and everything is going great, but then something ends up happening at cheer camp. She actually ends up being sexually assaulted, and this is kind of the story of her getting back into life and trying to deal with the aftermath of that. The writing of this book was alright. I have to say I'm not a huge fan of E.K. Johnston's writing style. I found it to be quite juvenile, which I do understand this is a young adult book, so or teen book, so it's going to be pretty simple, but I found it to be just kind of corny at times, which I think is more of a taste thing than anything. But at the same time, I felt like there was nothing really special, nothing about the writing that kind of set it apart from any other book that I've read. If anything, it was kind of a little bit confusing at times. But at the same time, I mean, I honestly don't have anything that much to say about the writing because it was not that spectacular. So I would have liked a little bit more from the writing, a little bit more attention paid to word choice and things like that. Would have been nice because it would have kind of set it apart from other books and made the language a little bit loftier, if you will, I guess. Like, not that I'm trying to sound pretentious or anything, but I just felt like sometimes better words could have been used than what were used, and that's kind of what made it a little bit too juvenile. The characters in this book were really interesting. I really enjoyed our main character Hermione, which is not a reference to Harry Potter, by the way. It's actually the name of the main character in The Winter's Tale. So I liked Hermione because it was kind of a refreshing, and I'll get into this more in plot, but it was kind of a refreshing take on the story of the rape survivor, because she wasn't the typical, like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself, like, how am I gonna get back into life? She kind of bounces back, and it's not like she was kind of dismissing what happened. She was kind of accepting of it, which was interesting to see because you don't see that a lot. You see more so kind of struggling to accept it, and I think that she was a really strong character because of that. And I just think that sometimes the portrayal of her, especially in the beginning, didn't really show that strength that she has, and I feel like she should have been kind of built up to be to represent that strong female that she really did come to represent, if that makes any sense. I really loved her friend Polly, and their relationship I found to be very interesting. I did like Polly was an interesting character because honestly I felt like in the end that it was going to be an LGBT story, and part of it was, but I felt like two different characters were going to end up together than like who actually ended up together. But I felt like there were kind of like signs leading to that. So I think that one of the strengths actually of E.K. Johnston is foreshadowing. She's really good at that, and in kind of like setting it up for something and then kind of undercutting your expectations and having it be something completely different, because she does it quite a few times in this book. I don't really have too much to say about the other characters. I felt like she had a really strong support system behind her, Hermione did, and I felt like that was really refreshing to see, but at the same time, it kind of opens your eyes, and there was a note in here about that, which I liked. It opens your eyes to the fact that not everyone is so privileged to have that, and not everyone is so privileged to have their situation taken seriously, if you will, but I'll talk about that more in plot. So overall, the plot of this book, it's supposed to be a retelling of The Winter's Tale, but honestly, I felt like it really didn't retell The Winter's Tale so much as it borrowed a couple of things from it, and it just borrowed the names. So we have Hermione, Polly, and Leo. So those were like the three names that came from there, and that was about it. There were just a couple of other things that happened that were from The Winter's Tale, and for that reason, I was kind of like disappointed with it as a Winter's Tale retelling because I felt like it was just a little bit weak in that sense. But overall, the story of the rape survivor I did appreciate because I think it was well done. And I think the fact that she's kind of like, for anyone who's going through that, she's kind of like an inspiration to them, because she kind of accepts what happens and isn't letting it define her, which I like. That's not the main thing that you're focusing on with her character in this story. It's kind of the fact that she's overcoming it and she's trying to move past it and she's trying to accept it, and you're in her mind and you're seeing her trying to kind of like sift through what is happening. And I think that that was an interesting perspective to take. At the same time, one of the things that bugged me with this book was that she kind of acted like, she's the protagonist and the narrator, but she kind of acted like an all-knowing, like omniscient narrator, because she would say like, this person is thinking this, but at the same time I was like, how do you know that? Like, you're not in their head, you don't know that. Like, so some of those things, the inconsistencies with the point of view, bugged me a little bit, but that's kind of more in writing. I just thought of that right now though. But overall, I enjoyed the story of the rape survivor, and getting a different perspective on it I think was interesting. I did have issues with it, but at the same time there were things that were really well done. I really liked the fact that she was a Canadian, not gonna lie, and especially because she lived near me. Like, they were choosing universities and she was mentioning different universities, and I was like waiting to see if she would mention mine, but she didn't, because it's just, yeah, I'm not gonna talk about that. But yeah, it was really nice to have them saying like grade 9 and grade 10 instead of like freshman and sophomore. So like, it was really cool to read a book that was done by someone who lives near me. So overall, like I said, I liked this book. I had some issues with it, but there were also things that I felt were really well done. So yeah, that's all for today's review. I need to give a rating. I have filmed like this is my 5th video that I've filmed today, and I've been filming for like what feels like 10 hours. So I'm sorry, but I'm very tired. I got up at like 8 to film. So anyways, you don't care. I ended up giving this book a 3 or a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I believe a 3. But yeah, if you have read this book, let me know your thoughts on it. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!